me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm f***ed off at these f***ing clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all wanna ring, yeah, we all wanna be free. So show me what you got, what you bring, how you fight in the ring, how you take a fucking swing. Do you got heart, are you mean? Got some scars, got some needs, are you willing to go bleed? I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm f***ed off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm f***ed off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the sonic roof up. I'm too honest when I take a few shots. They're too toxic, need to take the noose off. And you cannot save me, cause I don't need saving. It's everything I've been chasing, all here for the taking. Don't wanna test your luck with me, I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who are half-nots.
You were not as tough as
that you never guess. I don't slack, don't lose, learn your lesson yet. When I get to choose what I do, I'm like a weapon. I'm not sharp as many, but got hard. I'm ready to change scars to envy, to win large and plenty. I like to play fast, never change back. Calling out, I'll pay back, cause I'm great at that. Oh, you cannot save me, cause I don't need saving. It's everything I've been chasing, all here for the taking.
but we're not as tough though.
Don't wanna test your luck with me. I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who were have-nots, who were not as tough as me. Don't wanna test your luck with me. I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who were have-nots, who were not as tough as me. I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour. Take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder. Work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all wanna win. Yeah, we all wanna be free. So show me what you got, what you bring. How you fight in the ring, how you take a fucking swing. Do you got heart? Are you mean? Got some scars, got some needs. Are you willing to go bleed? I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And as you are here, I want to introduce one of our favorite men in the one wide world, in the whole wide world. Whiskey, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me, and that what nice kind words you have.
Well, I'm trying to get my words out if I can. I'm not trying to stumble because you are important. You have brought a lot of people together already. I mean, look who you've introduced us so far. So again, thank you so much, and thank you for also saying that you wanted to host with me. I appreciate it because this is important, and I think you're going to be able to get some really, really good questions out of these wonderful folks that we have tonight. With us today is Hatch and also Cockroaches, who they have teamed up together and do Twitter baits and non-delivery. And so again, thank you all for joining us, and let's get started. What do you think, Whiskey?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Unless you have anything to say first before we introduce our first guest.
Yeah, let's roll with it.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Well, anyway, here's our first guest, Cockroaches, who is just an amazing, amazing person and is going to give you some really, really good insight on what we have today. So let us warm welcome Cockroaches. Hello, Cockroaches. Chester, hi. Yes, I am trying to be the boss bitch here, but not tonight.
Discord, that we don't have audio for her.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't mind, that would be great. And
oh, nope, she knows it.
Okay.
Maybe we want to drop her back down and
yeah,
we'll try to figure that out.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring up Hatch for just a moment, and we'll go from there.
It's pretty much every Zoom call I've been on for the last 3 years.
Yes. All right. So Cockroaches. Yeah, we'll come right back. I promise. All right. So let's go ahead and add the gentleman who streams almost every day and is just fun to watch. If you have not caught him, please do so. You got to watch Hatch, HTHTV on Twitch, and you can catch him also here tonight. So here is the warm welcome, our wonderful friend Hatch. Hello and good evening.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Fantastic. Doing good. I think this is probably the first return guest, Amanda.
Yes.
SCAMBAIT Beyond. So
thank you.
It's got to be worth something.
Yes. Start the tracker. You can be like SNL. You know, the number of posts, number of times you've been on.
Well, and now not only are you a return guest, but you're also a first-time co-host.
That is.
So we're making some records here tonight, everybody. And and yes, Dealey, I agree. Hatch is amazing. But anyway, Hatch, what are you doing tonight? What have you been up to here lately?
Same old, being a dad and scambaiting. That's pretty much my life now. So I had no complaints. I love both of those jobs. So.
Mm-hmm. And your puppy. Can't forget about your big puppy.
Oh, my big horse dog. Yes.
Yes. Again, it's great what you're doing. And especially with the storyline that's going on. I love it. And, plus if you want to kind of talk about what's future coming up here this weekend, you got some big things happening. Do you want to kind of, since you've been here before and have talked about it, is there anything in particular that you've seen ever since your last stream that you're with us? Do you want to talk about some of the baits that you've been doing here lately?
Yes, we have had, I always say scam baits are like snowflakes. No two baits will ever be the same. I mean, they'll follow some same pattern and everything, but everyone's going to be a little different. I have my quote unquote bucket list of things I like to try to achieve in my scam baiting career, and we've already ticked a couple of them off. One of them most recently was a scammer who at the end got very remorseful and very sorry. I have ended up communicating with him and talking back and forth, and he has vowed that he's quit scamming. We've tried to find him some legitimate work in his area. A lot of these scammers come from very high impoverished areas, and that's how they end up getting into scamming. So he's actually been kind of working behind the scenes for us a little bit now. and he's actually we're planning on having him as a special guest on the stream on December 10th, and that is going to be absolutely amazing. It's I don't even have the words for it. It's going to be great.
It is going to be great. And also, we can't forget to talk about who's coming on this coming Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday. Everybody knows Cash Money Millionaire. We have him. We were going to have him on one time previously, and he had some personal things come up, so we got him rescheduled, and he will be joining us this Saturday on stream. If you don't know Cash, he is an amazing character. You are gonna love him.
Definitely.
Hatch, I got a question. You're an optimist, very similar to myself, which I think is amazing, and I think it's hard to see the good in people, especially in terms of what we do. Since we are dealing with criminals and low lifes. How have you kind of balanced yourself with trying to see through the BS that we know we get a ton of times? Oh, I'm going to quit. I'm poor. Help me this. And, they're manipulating. I mean, this is what they do for a living. They're con artists. How have you been able to try to see through that? Or what are some of the things from this particular person that has kind of indicated like, you know what, this person actually might be trying?
That's actually a great question. 99.99% of the scammers I run into give me an FU, block me, and that's it. This gentleman, we kept on chatting even after the stream went off. He had shared with me all his private, personal social media profiles. So I scoured those pretty heavily just to see, hey, is this guy just trying to pull one over for me? Because like Whiskey said, a lot of these are kind of scum of the earth people. So I scoured all that. Every personal post that he posted was a lot of stuff about praying for God's mercy and asking for God's help and leaving it in God's hands. And I'm not a huge religious person, but I respect that. I thought I heard a Vera there or something. Anyway, so and then we kept chatting, and just like most of them, he lives in a very impoverished area. There's no real good jobs, and the jobs there are, they just don't pay enough to live off of. So I've given him some opportunities of things I know where you can go online to get some companies that hire globally. I've had him send me screenshots of his Twitter settings and profiles, so he's showing me that he doesn't have any other profiles he may be using to scam people from. And he just seemed like a very genuine and honest man who really just made a bad decision to try to feed himself, and that's what it came down to.
And I think one of the things it's important to keep in mind, and Hatch and I have cross-referenced a lot of things that, some of the guys that I've talked to that have quote unquote come clean matches and validates what, some of his guys have. Is like, okay, all right, they're both saying the same thing. But these are young kids. These are, 15, maybe 25, probably at the oldest, young people. And if any of you are like me, we've all made mistakes when we're young. We've gone down the right path, and sometimes it takes somebody to kind of say, hey, let's level set here and really think about what you're doing and is this right path, and to try to mentor and help guide them the right way a little bit.
Yeah, and I've taken kind of a compassion with a tough love approach with him, saying, I'm willing to help you. I'm willing to do this out of my own time. But if I ever find out you are scamming again, it's over. You will never hear from me again. So, and I don't like striking fear in people, or that just accomplishes nothing. But I want him to know that this is a goodwill gesture. This is not something we do with everybody.
No, and it seems like he was reaching. Yes, I totally agree. They are brilliant. And
I just have one thing to mention.
Oh, no, go ahead.
We're the U.S. It's whiskey with an E. But I appreciate your whiskey without a Y.
No, that's so true. And Hatched, again, I applaud you for reaching out, because there are a lot of great people out there, unfortunately, like you said. And it seems like he was actually wanting to really touch to you because he felt like he had a connection with you. And so are
Yeah.
you going to try to keep that connection going as long as you can to see if he will change? Like, giving him the resources such as LinkedIn, Muster.com, things that he can actually get into that he
hmm
likes.
Yeah, as long as he's willing to keep putting in the work and putting in the time to make an honest living, I will do what I can. Granted, like Whiskey said, we're in the United States. Most of the scammers I deal with are in Nigeria.
Mhm.
So obviously there's the distance, which really limits what I can do. I asked him,
Right.
hey, can I send a box of food, cereals or powdered milk or something? And the corruption there is so bad. He's like, I would have to pay such an outrageous fee to receive it. And even at that, if someone found out it was food, he'd never even see the package. It's just
Uh,
so it really kind of limits what you can and can't do. Uh, it's just a sad situation.
So Hatch, one of the things that you do that's very different than what I do is I don't reveal. You reveal sometimes.
mhm.
How
I
do you?
reveal, yeah.
I was gonna just ask. In terms of revealing, how do you manage getting the scammer, by revealing what you're doing to them without giving them intelligence and kind of teaching them about what you're doing so they aren't like next time, oh, this is what this guy sent me a link. I'm never gonna click a link again. If they knew that. How do you manage both of them? Because it is so rewarding when you reveal. I've done it a
It
very
really
few
is.
times. It
It
feels
really is.
great. But how do you really balance that? Because that's tough.
It really, you're right. That really is. I've never really gave that a lot of thought. But during my
Mhm.
baits, I try to play stupid, just to, like just like I'm falling for this, so they keep throwing gas on the fire. I don't typically reveal until I start to get a feeling that, hey, maybe I'm losing this scammer. They're not interested in trying to scam me anymore. They don't think they can get any more money out of me, or they're starting to get suspicious of what I'm actually doing. So
Mhm.
I will try to push them as long as I can until I out myself, and um, then from there it can be complete chaos. I've seen them get mad at me, give me death
Mhm.
threats. Some of them get sorry. Some of them can try to continue to try to keep scamming me, and I'm like, did you not just read what I just wrote? Come on here. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I out myself because a lot of these scammers have no clue what scam baiting is. They think they're operating in a completely unchecked space except for Twitter support. And me and Whiskey are really the only two I know that are really doing this on Twitter. So,
Mhm.
and for now, it's kind of to get in their head a little bit. They laugh at me. A lot of them laugh at me when I'm like, okay, you're going to get your profile suspended. They're like, ah, ha, ha, whatever. Okay. And I'm just like, remember me when you try to log in and your profile's gone. You will make a
Mhm.
new profile. I will find you and we will do this again. So maybe a little intimidation factor in the
Mhm.
revealing. That's why I do it.
Do you think they'll learn over time? We had a very interesting conversation with somebody today, a man and I, about
Mhm.
how scamming is really it's about an arms race.
It is.
We're constantly chasing them. They're getting better. And there's probably never going to be a winner. It's that never
Right,
ending
right.
game.
We're still not caught up yet. We're still
No.
I think there's
behind.
I think there's a small percentage that will eventually kind of reform and stop doing it. But again, a lot of these people are driven by such extreme poverty that their back's against the wall. It's, between not eating and dying or doing this. But an interesting thing I actually just discovered today is something called the EFCC in Nigeria. I saw a Twitter story where they just recently prosecuted 17 scammers in Nigeria.
Yay.
So, and I brought this up with the individual I know, and I said, "Hey, here's another reason to not scam." And he's like, "Yes, a lot of people around here have been getting arrested for this." So, um, I think between local law enforcement pressure and just making their life hell on
Mhm.
Twitter, I think we can make a difference.
I think so too. And like you said, you're the only two, and then you've got cockroaches slash AKA bear, who's also helping you in the background. And that's where I think it's important to share that if you guys can do it, you can train other people to do it too.
Yeah, and Twitter scam baiting is really easy to get into. I mean, all you need is your phone. Honest to God, I mean, there's a lot of steps you'll want to take to protect your identity and all that. But for the most part, you know, make a fake profile, go find someone, and go to town.
Hmm. And that's why they need to watch your streams, and that way they can also see what works and what doesn't work, and then also keeping organized. I've noticed both you and Avera are very organized individuals that keep track. So that way, then you can go back and review to see what has been reported, what's been done on the Twitter side.
If
And
Yeah.
you're one little kind of pro tip, if you are even considering baiting on Twitter or Instagram, any social media platform, Facebook is a little bit harder, but you're not sure if you want to do it, go ahead and create a profile anyways. Create an alternate account now, because one of the best ways to bring your profile credibility is time.
mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
And
that's one of the ways we spot the new scams, the new scammers.
ano- another thing I would recommend, and sometimes it can be really painful and boring to do, but go read their terms of service. Read exactly what you need to know and find out exactly what you need to get that scammer to say to
Good
prove a
idea.
terms of service violation. Otherwise, you could just be steering them off into outer space for no good reason other than to waste their time, which is still valuable.
Yeah, so to piggyback on that, Hatch, you have an incredible success rate of getting accounts shut down. Some accounts that are very, very old, 10 plus years old. What has kind of been your secret sauce beyond the, really getting the scammer to direct message you those key trigger points that are violating terms of service? What's kind of been the big catalyst that's got these accounts taken down so quickly?
Oh, well, I've reached out to Twitter support numerous times to try to get an insider that I can contact, whatever. And I never get a reply. So everything I've learned, it's just been kind of trial and error and seeing what has and hasn't worked. Something we've just kind of stumbled upon recently is when I'm scam baiting someone and I finally get them to say those magic words, that are going to say, "Oh, you can't do that on Twitter." I'll go to my community now who's watching and I'll say, "Hey guys, here's the link. Report this person." And the more reports we can stack onto somebody, the faster we can get those shut down. We're getting some of them shut down before we're even done chatting with them, if we can get enough reports on there. And so even that's something you can do to help scam baiting. It's
And we
plain simple.
Mhm.
And that really is huge, and that's why we always encourage. I don't stream, but anything I post, so we always encourage as many people take the 60 seconds to report that tweet, report that account, because it is effective and it does make a difference.
Yes, and that's what I love about both of y'all. You tweet, and that way you say report this, and that's what we do. And so I appreciate you all advising what accounts are needed to be reported because you have the back end information.
And there's a very specific way to report someone for scamming on Twitter. And so I have a little pop-up in my chat that goes through the process. And then I actually show it live on screen so you can kind of see and learn. I'm a visual learner. I learn the best when I can see something. So I try to teach that way as well, I guess. And I kind of go through that process. And it's once you do it a time or two, you can start doing it in your sleep. It's pretty simple.
And how long have you been doing this, Hatch? Dill had a good question.
Yes, I started it,
Um,
but yes.
I have streamed it 32 times, and so it's been a little over a month now, I would say. We kind of hit the ground running, and we've been going full speed since then.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
Amanda,
think it's
how
great.
long have you been doing this?
I started watching DVR back in 2016,
Wow.
and
I
it
started in
started
April.
to. Okay, but again, it's amazing on just like how I talked about how the organization I used to work with, and how SCAMBAIT can actually be kind of like an organization. You take different layers and different entities, and kind of like different organizations. Someone who's like victim advocate, or someone who does the tweets like you guys do, and then the ones who are talkers. And I think it's nice to where we can all integrate and work as one. We just may not all do the exact same thing and may not understand what's in the back end of what's happening, but at least now we know who to go to. Just like the Twitter question earlier saying, is this a scam? And luckily enough, Whiskey caught it and answered. And that's why I'm glad that then Hatch, when you had time, you responded back, and how you said it was really good that this person investigated prior before even responding. So I know, I think just even starting of that. And again, good night, Chester. Thank you for being here, by the way.
Just,
And
just 5 minutes of due diligence can save you $5,000.
Yes, that's true. But again, it's just the investigation part and making sure, and it never hurts to ask questions. So that's why I appreciate you all taking the time to answer questions, or when someone's in need, just like we had someone the other day who was really in need and was reaching out on social media. So again, I applaud you guys, because not only do you have that care factor, but you're also trying to help so many other people. You're also trying to get that connection, so that way then we can know who's supposed to do what, and who can we ask that question to when we don't know. So
yeah, and I think that's the really cool thing about what Amanda's doing, and what a lot of other folks, SDS, is doing, of really trying to find different folks that have different skill sets, different amounts of time to contribute towards fighting these scammers. Not everybody is a dialer. Not everybody is a Twitter person. Some people are absolutely amazing researchers, which might be a nice segue to see if Cockroaches audio is up.
Yes. So let's go ahead and we're going to bring Cockroaches up. And then after a bit, we're going to show Hatch's website. And then we also have a little presentation that we definitely want to show you. But let's go ahead and bring up Cockroaches. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I had a Zoom meeting earlier, and I think it just totally threw a spanner in the works.
Well,
I had to
again,
reboot. Sorry.
No, you're fine. We just appreciate you being here. And thank you, Goddess of Truth. She's also trying to build up a connection, a kind of an organizational chart. So that's what we're going to work on together. And so again, thank you. And as you know, we've been talking about kind of what Hatch does, and then now we can kind of start off where you two kind of began. I mean, I think it's with you all getting together, working together. But do you want to kind of talk about a little bit about your background and kind of sharing a little bit, kind of how you got involved in all this?
I've been basically doing this for a couple decades. I just didn't know I was doing it, and it was in a slightly different way. I work in the gaming industry, and I wanted to get more into the end of a lot of our players get hacked. When you play games, especially MMOs, there's people running around trying to sell you gold. Well, that gold comes from stolen accounts, primarily. It's these are criminals. These are scammers. The parallels between that world and this world are amazing. They work the same way. They do the same things. They fish. It's a lot of the same stuff. But I wanted to get more into that, and I went over to the department that really does that. And they said, well, you need two things. You need to be a programmer, and you need to learn more about scams, online scams. Oh, doggy. Nice little horse.
I love that dog.
Now, there's not a chance in hell I'll ever be a programmer, but I thought I can learn about scams. And so I went over to YouTube and I started looking around, and I think I found P first, Pierogi first. And then I just started watching, and it's been over a year watching. And I've always reported the guys going after our people, my players. The recovery scams are just everywhere, and they're horrible. And they don't just go after games. They'll tell you that they can recover your Facebook, your Snapchat, your Instagram, your cryptocurrency accounts, and they can't do a damn thing. They're selling you plane tickets to Pluto. Companies do not deal with third parties. They don't. And I have actually gone to the trouble of baiting a couple of them, and they try to claim that they can hack the servers to get your account back.
Ah.
Really, dude, for 20 bucks, if you've got those kind of mad skills, you need to be applying them elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scam. So I just report them. I don't even bother baiting them. I just report them. Twitter's pretty good about pulling them down. Instagram, not so much. They are really, really slow.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, so we know about the crypto recovery scams, how you got into that, but one of the things of which how you and I connected was pet scams and puppy scams. What led you down this path? Where did you try to get a puppy? Did you get scammed, or did you come across a website that you were just like, there's no way in hell this is legit?
So I don't know a lot myself, but I know people that know people. And somebody that I know that does reporting on banks had a person reporting to them that was doing pet scams over the summer because they got pet scammed, and they had a fire into their ass. They were just sending her reports right and left with Zelly information, bank information, all this stuff, and the websites. Well, she knew that I could take down websites, so she started sending that to me. And that's when I realized there was that many of them out there. Whiskey and I got together because I followed him on Twitter, and one day he mentioned Cameroon. Well, this person that was baiting these people was so thorough, he had grabified every one of them, and like 99% of them were from Cameroon. And I'm thinking, Cameroon, and I messaged Whiskey, and the rest is history. It's the same people. It's the same kind of thing. But
yeah, so we know Hatches, a lot of his guys are, and ladies, because there are female scammers, out of Nigeria. Most of our folks are out of Cameroon. One of the things that kind of really opened my eyes from talking to you was that, Cameroon is a hotbed, not just for puppy and whiskey scams, but in general, non-delivery advanced pay scams. Can you maybe, refresh everybody's memory on kind of how that works, how the scam operates?
The puppy scams, well, I guess all non-deliveries probably work similar, but on the puppy scams, they'll lure you in with a pet. They'll put up a website, lure you in with a pet, and the first red flag is the thing is not nearly as expensive as it should be. If you're wanting a Cocker Spaniel puppy, Google average price of a Cocker Spaniel puppy, and you'll come up with a figure. If they're half to a tenth the price, there is something wrong. That can't be real. But after they get some money out of you, either a deposit or, because that's not the part they make the money on. After they get either all of it or even a deposit out of you, they'll send you over to a fake shipper. And after your dog is supposedly in transit, all of a sudden the shipper needs $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 more dollars for something. And if you send it, they'll need some more because there is no dog. And they just keep milking you until you finally say enough.
Right. Because especially when we were talking and you were kind of telling me about this one resource that we're going to show here in just a little bit, and the information of what people actually get out of, especially like the Norwegian forest cat. Some of them even got out like $800 out of somebody.
Oh yeah.
Some of them raised like $1,200. And so again, you're right. It's incredible the amount that they can actually get out of them, and then realizing that you can get scammed double time.
Well, if you stop sending the money, then they say that they're going to put you in jail for abandoning your animal for animal abuse.
So threats
of jail. Yeah.
CAC. That's what I'm gonna call you now. Cockroaches are creeps. CAC.
Okay.
CAC. How do you find these? Like, do you just stumble upon them, or like really kind of what's the process of you finding about these different types of pet scams and puppy scams?
Over the summer, these were being sent to me, and I was just working what came to me. Okay, I got a list of get these, find out who hosts them, get them shut down. And then I thought, I wonder if the Better Business Bureau has anything on these. Boy, do they. you go over to the Better Business Bureau, and they've got a scam tracker. And they've even got a whole category just on pet scams. Hit pet scams, type in puppy, and you will just have list after list after list after list of people that have been taken this way. Some of them for nothing because they report them anyway, even though they realized it was a scam and went ahead and reported them. Some for thousands of dollars. And some of these stories are heartbreaking because you've got the victim's testimony right there, the report they sent to the BBB. The saddest one I think I ever read was this guy had an 8-year-old autistic son who had just fallen in love with the puppy online, and after all was said and done, trying to explain to an 8-year-old autistic kid there is no dog. It never existed. It's not going to register, and he was heartbroken.
And that is the saddest thing ever, to have to deal with. And that's the other part that, with these victims, you're kind of also like a victim advocate as well with the gaming, and also helping with someone like that in that situation, because like you said, they're not going to understand the full concept at that age anyway, at 8.
No. Where I get into, I guess you could call it advocacy, is trying to teach my players how not to do this, how not to get scammed. I had 4 of them today. One of them was a fish. Came to us and says, I know now that I was dumb, but somebody messaged me in game and claimed to be a GM and said that if I didn't go to this website and verify myself, I was going to get banned. And like an idiot, I did it. And of course, China got his account.
Are gaming platforms educating their players and their consumers?
I try.
A lot of them are paying for it. Yeah, but you're one person. I meant more holistically, more corporately, where you sign up for an account and there's a not a pop up, but something that comes up and says, "Hey, FYI."
No, they would just assume that they pretend they didn't exist. I mean, we fight them. We fight them every day, and we have always fought them, but they don't like it being a public image. Does that make sense? They
sure.
They don't want the underbelly to show.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a great question in chat. Well, at least leading to Discord. So CockroachesAreCreeps CAC does have a Discord. And if you want to tackle any crypto scammers, I think your list is up to 100 plus of crypto scammers.
Recovery scammers, more like 300.
Recovery, yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And actually, I'm gonna hey Zen, if it's all right, can I share your Discord as we kind of talked about before? And that way, Goddess, you can join in. And so let me get that right now.
And she is on Discord as Avera.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got 20 names. You're not going to keep up with them all.
Right.
I just picked this one to use because I found this picture and decided to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just went ahead and grabbed a link, and that way. All right. And this one does expire, so that way it's not going to just stay up there.
And you had told us when we were chatting with you before, you had said something about MMO, and I had no idea what that meant.
Okay.
Multi something player.
Massively an MMO is a massively multiplayer online game. And
so how has that helped you in scam baiting?
A lot of it's role play. I mean, I've been doing that for 30 years. A lot of it's role play. You just learn how to put up filters between what your character knows and what you know. And the only thing you let through is what your character knows. Once you get into that habit, it's not hard. You don't have to have an elaborate backstory. You don't have to filter you through this filter. Just set up your parameters of, okay, this is the parameters of this world. In the case of scam baiting, it's your cheat sheet of your name and your address and your phone number and all your particulars, because you're not going to give them yours. And just use that filter. You don't have to be anybody else. I mean, it's really funny when you can, and some of these people swallow anything, but I think it's more realistic if you're you.
No, that's true. That's true. Um, and I think it's great that you had that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, and my baits, that's what Cockroaches is saying. I do inject some true, a lot of what I tell is story. Like you said, we're all kind of role playing in a sense, but I do inject some elements of truth into some of my scam baits just to kind of pump up that and try to get them on a guilt trip or something.
Yes.
I'm not smart enough to remember a whole bunch of lies in a row. So the less you lie, the less you
Yeah, that's
remember.
why you keep a notebook. I mean, this
Well,
is my scam baiting notebook to start with.
I've got my cheat sheet with my name and my address and where all my particulars, my age, my birth date, stuff that you should know off the top of your head, but the rest of it's me.
And that's true, because I've even done that too. I'll inject some truth, but then I'll change the names, or like I'll say my sister, which I do have a sister in real life, but I don't say what her real name is. And then I talk about being a mother, or the middle child, just whatever that is the truth that relates into it. And I think that's great that you've done that. And so I know I'm looking at my notes, and so but Whiskey, you probably have some other great questions, because you know how to answer. You know how to ask questions much better than I do. So I'm kind of reviewing some notes. Yeah.
I have a question for both of you. We were talking about puppy scams and the mass amount of websites that are out there, and so many of them are fake. You've got philanthropists, on Twitter, giving away money. I'm curious on what your guesstimate, or if you actually know what percentage of these pet sites are legit, and what percentage of these Twitter philanthropists, are actually legit.
The BBB put out something not too long ago that said at least 85% of any websites about pets are fake.
Wow.
85%.
Wow. And actually, speaking of the BBB, do you want to kind of show them a little bit of the website?
You can if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, while she's bringing that, Hatch, what's the philanthropy? Are there actual legitimate philanthropists on Twitter?
There are actually good, warm-hearted people out there who are helping. They are very far and few between. There are a lot of people out there who aren't necessarily a scam, but they'll say, "Hey, I'm giving away $100. Drop your cash tag," but they'll never actually give that money away. I don't technically consider that a scam, because they're not trying to steal anything from anyone. I'd call that kind of a sham, just really shady.
Sham.
In terms of actual philanthropists, the actual ones out there usually have really large followings. So let's say one of them says, "Hey, I'm giving away helping someone with rent this month, drop your cash tag." They'll have thousands of replies. I mean, thousands of replies of people asking for help. So even if it were just 1,000 people and you're one person, you have a 0.00 of 1% chance of getting picked. So in some cases, you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than you do actually getting money from a philanthropist. But the scam ones will be extremely eager to give their money to absolutely anybody, and that's a huge red flag.
And that's good to know, because that's the one good thing that you guys have eyes for on those kind of things. Because I look at it and you're thinking, that sounds a little fishy, but you still have to do a little bit more in depth. And I think that's by just asking the questions, and then their script so well. That's what really helps you guys know, okay, this is, but I do love the fact that you can find them so quickly. And then also I love when CAC did talk about the BBB and was showing that website that I was just showing, that it is, very interesting. I never knew really about that. So thank you for telling us.
The BBB has no teeth. Oh, contrary to what Indian scammers will try to tell you. Oh, we are with the BBB. Yeah, well, that's a glorified Yelp. That 25 cents will get you a cup of coffee if you go to the right place. But it's a good research tool.
It is. But also, do you mind kind of talking about when you're doing the baits and figuring out, okay, this is what's really going on? Do you want to kind of talk about the things that you like to take away from these scammers? Like kind of your tactic. Yes, like your tactic. You were talking about
break their toys, their websites, their profiles, just their bank accounts, their phone numbers, anything I can lay my hands on that I can get shut down, I do. Because I can't get them arrested. Now, I actually might have something to do with that if I just accidentally pass on the right information to somebody, but I can't do that. But I can shut down their websites. I can shut down their profiles. That I can do. I can get their phone numbers shut down. Oh, by the way, if anybody ever has any text now numbers that you need, that you know's text now and you know it's a scammer, pass them on to Deo or CJ. They need the number, they need the date, they need the time, and they need the type of scam. Because Deo has been in contact with text now to try to get them to be a little more active about not letting these.
Dan is really good. Dan
is good. And again, there's so many great people. So you're right. It's about who to go to, who can knock this stuff down. And you're exactly right. CJ and Take and Chester do an amazing job. And then like Deo's great, Dan Goodballs. And so overall it is nice, because also what we know is that there's certain people who can also report to the FBI.
Yep.
And so it's good to kind of know what you're in for. And so
I would add to that, another 2 good places to report to if you ever are the victim of a scam is the FTC. They can actually help you also put fraud alerts on all your credit reports. And a lot of people also haven't heard about the IC3. It's the it's Internet Crime Online Crime Commission or something like that. They also do a lot of work behind the scenes. They'll forward information to the FBI, and so a lot of people don't like to report to those places because they're like, hey, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be filed away and it be a statistic. But that's not true. These places do try to gather intel and work with Interpol and other countries' law enforcement agencies to get them shut down.
And IC3.gov, I mean, it's a very elaborate report that you can put a lot of information in, and there's not someone actually sitting there going through each report. But you think about these massive computer systems that are just collecting massive amounts of data after data after data. And if certain keywords, certain emails, certain phone numbers keep popping up, it's going to raise a flag. It can actually get to an actual investigator, which could possibly lead to something. It's always one of those things like, your one piece of information could lead to something much, much bigger. But if you don't report it, you don't tell anybody about it, you might be sitting on something that could really help.
So true. So true. And speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and share our little presentation that both Whiskey and I worked on. That way we can kind of talk about this a little bit.
I just added pictures.
Yeah. Well, no, you added some additional info. At least we worked on it together, and I appreciate that very much. And so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, let's kind of discuss about this. So again, here are some resources and information in regards to the Twitter scams.
It's only about 45 slides, guys, so just be patient.
Yeah, again, you're going to learn so much just by these 45 slides. Just give us a moment and you're going to be fine. So again, let's talk about the types of Twitter scams. And I mean, again, look at that cute little puppy right there, the little Chihuahua. So we got the puppy, we got the whiskey, we got the hey, non-deliverable, goods and services, such as the one that Hatch likes to talk to, the sugar mamas and the sugar daddies, which now I always want the candies when we talk about them. And then the other thing that I'm glad that you talked about too, Hatch, was the money flipping. I didn't really think of that term. And then when I Googled it up, I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what you were talking about just the other day.
Yeah, they actually call it, one of them had said the term to me and I was like, what is that? They actually call it cash flip. I've had a few of them now say cash flip, and I had never heard of that before. So I went to Google and was like, well, my God, this is actually a thing. But that's what they call. They're saying, hey, I'm going to send you $3,000, but first you need to pay this $25 or $30 fee. What they're saying is it's a cash flip. They're going to flip that 25, 30 and flip it into 3,000 and give it back to you. But that's never going to happen.
No, definitely not. And so again, Hatch put the lovely little pictures on there and some of the profiles that have been scammed or scammers, I should say. And then a lot of people have even asked, how do you report? And the good thing is, like you said, Twitter is doing a really good job of taking serious of what we're reporting. Now, Instagram is something that we'll have to talk about as well to see what we can do. But for Twitter, again, you just click on the 3 dots on the top right of the profile, and then you put, report the username. Then if you see hello, click start report, and then it'll have you had these little checkpoints. You just click on the right one, which is everyone on Twitter, offer tips or currency, tricking other people into sending, yes, continue, add tweets or context applicable, and then you hit done. So, Hatch, do you want to kind of elaborate on that, since that's something that you really do want to tell people to do after you've finished a bait?
This is incredibly important process. And one way I tell people to remember it is go to the bottom. All these options you will ever click on are always the very bottom option. So if a menu pops up with another option, go to the bottom, click that one. That's kind of the easiest little trick I've learned how to teach it and tell people how to do it. And this is actually the way that you specifically report someone for scamming. And it could be any type of scam. It doesn't matter what kind of scam it is. But this is the exact process to do it. And what this does is it helps route it to the correct inbox at Twitter support. So they're not having to do a bunch of time researching and trying to figure out, oh, what's the terms of service violation here? It's going straight to the guy who deals with scams, for example. I don't know if they have a specific person, but it helps route it to the correct place it needs to get. So this is a very, very important process.
I agree. And I'm glad that you guys talked about it, because I didn't know about how to report it. So when you explained it to me, and then Hatch and Whiskey put it up there, and I was like, oh, that's how you do it. Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea until I started watching Hatch, and I was like, oh, look at this. I work with a guy who runs Whiskey Scambaiter, who really does all the heavy lifting in terms of researching and finding these guys, is meticulous with reporting and record keeping.
Yes.
And I was just like, wow. And he had kind of been doing it a little bit before, reporting it this way. But yeah, it was interesting.
Yes. And so again, here's some of the, to kind of continue, not to, I would love to piggyback what you just said, but to carry on, some of the resources that you can use, just like the website I just opened was the bbb.org scam tracker. And that again does the research consumer submitted complaints, and you can find a lot of scams on there. And Goddess, yes, I will, after I show this, then I'm going to show your other thing as well. And then you've got how you find who is hosting the website. You can find the IP's address and the ISPs on www.digital.com. And then to find the accurate IP address data that keeps pace with secure, specific, and forward-looking use cases, you can go to ipinfo.io.
Now that last one, Cockroaches, CAC, that's the I always get these confused. I did this when we talked the other day. That's the one that shows you a lot of the other sites that are on that one connected to the same IP.
At the bottom, it's often got a section that will show you other websites hosted on that.
What do you see a lot of times? What do you see a lot of times when you look at those?
Nests.
And hi, Dan.
Nests, because they'll set up 10 and go through them because they know one's going to get shut down, and then they'll just cycle through them. Now, some providers will shut down the IP; they'll just null it, so they're all gone at the same time. Others will hit a provider. Other providers will just hit a single domain at a time. It just depends. Some providers are wonderful, and some of them I want to strangle because you can't get them to do nothing.
No, we'll see puppies, you'll see firearms, drugs, recovery, and you're like, oh yeah, there's some bad actors on the server.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's incredible just learning more and more every day regarding this, and the context that we have made, Whiskey. I just thank you. I can't thank you enough. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the prevention. And this is where also Whiskey kind of added a little bit of more to it. The Guardio, which it protects you while you're browsing online, warning you in real time about dangerous websites and downloads, and keeping malware, malicious software, and nasty extensions away from your computer, and it keeps you out of trouble. And then you can use no more. How do you say that? Nomo Robo. Thank you. And this helps with stop annoying robocalls and spam texts forever. Automatically protect your phone from scammers, spammers, and swindlers. And RoboKiller, it's the robocall blocker app that creates a world without phone scams. RoboKiller gives you the power to fight back against spam calls and texts, which is really nice. And then lastly, the scamwall.io, which it monitors your browser for programs commonly used by scammers. And if one is found, a temporary access code is sent to the legitimate access is needed. And again, this information was kindly given us by CAC. So thank you so much for, giving us that info. And
the one on that list I highly recommend is RoboKiller. Before I even saw this, I've been using RoboKiller for years now.
Oh, nice.
And they have a massive database of people self-reporting phone numbers and stuff from spam, scam, whole bunch of stuff. So when someone calls you, what it does is it takes that phone call, quickly routes it through RoboKiller servers, checks against the database, and spits it back out to you with says, hey, this might be a scam. Do you still want to answer it? You still get all your phone calls and everything, but it's a really nice tool. I like you got that one on there.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for CAC for when we were talking and, again, giving this information. I thought, you know what, we need to put this in some slides. And so that's what we did.
Well, if you've got older folks around that may not remember what you tell them about scams and you think they might get tricked, it doesn't hurt to have this on their systems. The two in the middle block the calls coming in. The one on the top and the one on the bottom. If they manage to get a hold of you either through a text or a pop-up or something that you're going to call out to reach out to them, and then they put something on your machine, blocks it.
Which is really good because, like you said, it depends on who, what ages are you looking into? Are you looking for your family member that is a little bit older and they may not be always watched?
They may forget.
And so I think it's great to have these things. And again, thank you for these resources and tips. And then, and also
one thing some scammers do is they'll send you to either the direct download or another site that has nothing to do with the AnyDesk or the UltraView or whatever. That's just got a link to download, and they don't even realize they're downloading something because all those remote control software sites have warnings. Nobody reads them, but they've got them, right?
Right.
If they can get you away from that site and get the software somewhere else or through another method, you don't even see those warnings. So.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And also, I'm going to go ahead and show twitterscams.info. You can, I'm going to look at that right now. So that way, here it is. And here is the wonderful website that Hatch started. And I love this site. And I might even hire if we ever get one for SCAMBAIT Beyond. But I may just refer them all to you, because it is absolutely incredible. And you've done an amazing job. And so, again, you've got the scammer listings. But do you want to kind of talk a little bit about this, Hatch, since this is your website?
Yeah, this came up as just an idea of I keep a list of all the scammers, as Amanda mentioned earlier. I keep a list of all the scammers, and I follow up on them to see if we're getting anything done. And then I used to take pictures of it and then just post it to my Twitter. And I eventually got to the point where the lists were getting so big that I can't squeeze them into an image anymore. So I was like, okay, how else can I share this information? And then I kind of just started as I decided, well, I'd do a website. It started out as a free website on a different provider, and it just kept growing and getting bigger and bigger. So finally I had to go to a different provider, and we have what we have now. But it's a lot more robust there's a lot more information out there on it now than there was before. Every time I can think of something that would be helpful, I try to squeeze it in there some way.
I mean, this is great. I mean, you look at all this. I mean, you got this is a great thing to have. Like I'm pointing at my the camera, which y'all can see, the scam alert. And so again, that is a really good thing to where you can show people, hey, if you're not aware of this, I just watched Hatch and he has a website. And so that way they can just go directly to this, which is wonderful.
And the bread and butter of the website is the scammer lists, where I keep track and share that with everyone. So if they see something weird, they can, if they remember, check it against the list. And then I have a bunch of information I've typed up about the types of scams, red flags, how to report. I try to cover everything that I think would be helpful in raising awareness. That's really our best tool.
Right. And even like you said, when you're first starting debate, you said definitely want to look at the terms of services on Twitter. And so that's why I kind of highlighted for that. So that way people, and so again, donate, subscribing. And so again, this is a really, really, really good website. And I love this. And then let's see. Let me get back to my. And then my friend Goddess of Truth also wanted me to show something off of Discord. And so let me see if I can open it up.
While she's working on that, I have a question, because there are a lot of websites out there. There are a lot of websites that talk about scams, list scammer numbers, list scammer websites, Twitter handles. And I don't know the answer to this, but I would love to know, is there a way to connect a lot of these sites? Because it seems as though, a lot of people, they're putting their stuff out there for their followers, but their followers may not know about Twitter scams. How do we encourage everybody's websites to have links to different things, almost almost having specialists for that?
Oh, that is a great question. On my
just want to make
site,
sure this is the right thing. Yeah.
on my site, I try to reach out to other people in the scam baiting community, and if they want to be listed, I do have a page where I post other community members and stuff. But that would be something, though, if there was some way we could all collaborate under one umbrella. But that would be that would take some organization, probably some funding, and a lot of time. But it's a great idea, because I mean, and it's simply, if you just go and just retweet something that a scam baiter tweeted out, you're helping spread the word right there.
So true.
That could be that simple.
Yeah, I just see, top of my head, I'm probably can name 12 off the top of my head of that are either numbers or different sites. And you almost think that if we could, get folks to say, okay, great or good, let's create a one-stop shop website. Everybody contribute to it, contribute towards SEO search, search engine optimization on Google, to where if somebody does type scam, that this is popping up to it. And then almost get everybody to specialize. There are a lot of sites that are very niche, like they're very specific. You want numbers, you go to this site, which is great. So you've got maybe a link to that site. So for scam baiters to go to, they can go to that, or maybe someone's just curious about it. Twitter scam, it goes somewhere else. Just a thought.
I like that. I really like that.
I do too. And again, now if anyone has any questions that Whiskey or even myself have missed, or you are more than welcome right now to go ahead and ask them. Or if you want, I'm going to go ahead and put the invite link, and that way we can invite a couple other people in here and they can take a turn to ask questions. So I'm going to go ahead and put the invite link in.
So what was the most eye-opening thing you two have learned in your fight against scams? Were there that aha moment, that holy shit, what just happened? I thought this, and now I'm doing a 180, or I can't believe this person said that to me?
Right. Good question.
That's a great question. I would say, I when you're scam baiting, you have to find a way to kind of dehumanize the person you're talking to. Forget that you're actually talking to a person. You're talking to a scammer. Just with the recent gentleman I spoke with, he kind of got me to break down that wall a little bit with him. And I started seeing that he was a real person, and it really, for a night, when it first happened, I really struggled with that feeling that night. So, boy, that's such a great question. Where do you come up with these?
I know, that's why I had him on here, so he can ask the more in-depth questions.
Behavioral-based interviewing.
Yes.
There you go.
I applaud you.
For hiring.
Yes.
But
So
yeah, just that was probably the biggest for me, was learning kind of some of the culture and the background of the area they're from, learning about the scam baiting community there, how they operate. For example, a lot of people are familiar with the call centers and stuff in India, whereas in Nigeria, it's all something that there's no organized body or anything like that. It's something where someone saw their friend was making money and they're like, hey, where are you getting this money from? And they're like, oh, I'm scamming. And they're like, okay, how do you do that? And then they just send them, literally just text them the script. This gentleman sent me his entire script. So I got to see it from what I had suspected it would say. I kind of actually got to see it from my own two eyes. And, the more you learn, the more you can evolve your own practices and get more effective at what you do. So that was probably my biggest, what do you want to say, have the biggest impact so far.
Aha moment. Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think it sometimes gets lost on folks of where, if you are showing a little bit of humanity, I think it's twofold. One, they are human. They're doing bad things, but they are human. But two, and almost maybe more important, is you're getting intelligence. You're getting information from that source that they otherwise wouldn't have given you, which will make you better at scam baiting them, investigating them, because you have more, knowledge is power.
Yes.
CAC, what's yours?
That taking down the websites immediately isn't necessarily the best thing.
Expand on that.
Yes.
Well, we Whiskey introduced me to somebody, and he does a lot of very high-powered web searches and I'm a piker. I'm a kindergartner compared to what this guy does, and it's automated. But he takes them down in great swaths. Let's put that.
And a lot of it from you and I talking to them, it was very much about back to Google searches, to where they're encouraging people to never go directly to a website, but to actually type it into Google, because they've got it worked out to where you Google, maybe it's a cat site, search 2, 3, and 4 are going to mention the word scam.
Yeah.
So that whoever's looking at it is going to go, wait a second, here's a kitty cat site that I really like, but you know what? All this stuff says scam. Maybe I should look into it a little bit more.
Yes.
Yeah, because so many of these people in their BBB reports say, I thought I did my due diligence. I knew about pet scams. The site looked decent. They sounded like they had the right answers. This all sounded reasonable. Of course, they don't know what to look for, like getting paid in gift cards or Zelle or, Venmo. That there right there is a red flag. Now, can people use those things? Sure. Do regular breeders usually do that? No.
Mary had a great question, not to go off with. Amanda, what do you think about that?
Actually, I think I like that.
with Mary's comment
No,
about, yeah, I
I
think we are teaching. I think we
I think
absolutely
we
could make it really easy for scammers to learn more.
yes, because actually in our conversation earlier with our friend that will be coming on eventually, he kind of said the same thing because in certain parts of the world, some cops are 5 years behind than the scams. And they said here in the US, we are about 2 years behind, which is not good. So again, we could be teaching them. Um,
I'll play devil's advocate on this one.
but I do like the tools though. I like the website. So don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
I love the idea, and I love that Mary kind of brought that up as a note of
Yes.
caution.
Yes.
But I'll play devil's advocate on this one. A lot of the scammers are not on Twitter to, show us pictures of their dinner. They're there to steal your money.
Hmm.
So, um, I know if some of them are sitting in a call center, think if you go to your job and your boss catches you dinking around on the internet, you're going to get in trouble. So I think the threat that Mary addressed there
Hmm.
would come from more organized scam operations who are maybe out there trying to improve their scams. But like the ones I deal with, most of them I've never even heard of a scam baiter. So I know they're not out there on the internet even watching found Kip Boga or Pierogi or anybody, the big
Hmm.
names that are easy to find. Um, so that's kind of a dual-edged sword on that one.
It's always a tough balance that I've found
Hmm.
of you want to educate the public, you want to bring awareness, but in doing so, you are also making scammers more aware. And I totally agree with Mary. I think the Indian-based, I think probably even PCH to a point are getting much more aware of what scam baiting is. West Africa, not
Yes.
so much. So, yeah, it's a really delicate balance, and definitely, I think, worthy of more discussion.
But also, there is a good thing about having a website because if they click on it, there are some people who can get more in depth information on the backside. So there is a kind of a good thing about having a website.
Yeah, that's
And
true. We know
so
where everyone's coming from.
because just like with our friend today, with the things that he can do that I don't have the tools or tricks to do, um, that he's even contacted scammers because of a website.
Yeah.
Personally. And so, I think it never hurts to ask that question. So, Mary, thank you for asking that. I think that's a
It would,
very, very good question because a lot of times we do want to have that resource to where we can all go to. And
and
that's why.
I think it kind of comes down to weighing the greater good versus the risk.
Mhm.
The greater good could be you reach out and you raise awareness with 10,000 people, but 100 scammers see your website.
Mhm.
Those are numbers I'd take the chance on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I gotta think there's ways that you can block based on the country. Because we know, Hatch, you and I know, generally speaking, I think we probably agree most of the scammers we're dealing with aren't using VPNs too much
Probably not.
versus
Yeah.
everywhere else.
No,
No,
that's true.
a lot of the home-based ones aren't. I would guess a lot of the companies and stuff may.
Yeah.
But something I run into, the problem is actually a good thing with Twitter security. If you serve someone a link, if you're in Twitter at their app and you click on a link, it serves that website up inside the Twitter app, which is actually very secure thing for users. It protects their IP, their identity, and stuff like that. But on the flip side, it also protects scammers' IPs and identity. And I used to have a practice where I try to grab their IP addresses to see where they're from, but I'm not going to do that anymore for the reasons that it's in my case it's not really effective. It's just kind
Mhm.
of a waste of time at this point, and um, I still have to operate within Twitter's terms of service myself. And doing that
Yeah.
is kind of a gray area of are you in trouble or are you okay? So it's one of those things I think I'm
Yes.
just going to cut out altogether.
No, I think thank you for answering that. And here's a question for us all. And Dan, if no one has not caught his video today, please do so.
So good.
You were excellent, Dan. And I love the fact that you helped with scammer takeout. I love that you guys work together. So again, here's a question for us all. Should files be deleted when baiters get into their systems?
Controversial, Dan Gleeball.
I know.
Bringing it.
And then Wonder has, I'm going to bring her up. She's wanting to ask some questions as well. But I think this is a really, really good question.
Well, it's not like I've got those skills, but if I did, I don't think I'd delete their files, but I might scramble them.
Break their toys.
If they're gone, they'll know, oh, somebody's been in here. But if you go through all the phone numbers and just randomize them so that they're worthless to them, that they probably won't notice that until they go to call and suddenly, why aren't any of these numbers working?
Interesting.
I'm sneaky like that, but yeah, I don't have the skills, so that's not really anything I've got to worry about.
Hatch, what do you think?
In terms of Dan's question, should files be deleted when baiters get into their systems? Yes. However, I wouldn't do that first. I would see if you can get a copy of those files, because we're getting back to gathering intel. If you can get a copy of them, then you can maybe go through them, start contacting victims and the such, but then delete them. If you can't do that, I would say still go ahead and delete them, but try to make some sort of effort to get some sort of information out of it.
Yeah, I think it seems like generally, at least the guys that I watch, guys and gals I watch traditionally are copying and then deleting. But I've seen a few that just go straight for the delete. Amanda, you want to answer that?
I am not really for deleting the files. I am certainly an advocate of getting the files, researching, gathering information, because the more information we have, then it's going to show our data to show proof. Why do we need to end these scam calls? Why do we need to end these call centers? That way the FBI will actually have more in-depth information. So but again, every baiter is going to do something differently. So I certainly still respect all baiters because they're in it for the main cause that we're in it. But do I go with exactly the way they do it? No, because I think everyone has a unique style. So for me, I wouldn't delete the files on my behalf, but if someone else wants to do it, just as long as they get the information, so that way they can go forward to the authorities that's needed.
Good question, Dan.
Yes, and also, if you don't mind, my friend Wonder Woman, who's actually new to the SCAMBAIT community, I think she's going to have a few good questions to answer. So do you mind if we pull her up, and that way she can ask a few questions? And also we're going to still look at chat, making sure that, that if you have any other questions, we're going to make sure that those get answered too. So,
yeah, bring her up. I was just going to say, as you bring her up, Dan had a really good point that he's been working with Browning, and if the files are actually on the computer, it makes better evidence.
Thank you, Wonder Woman. No, I think I love the fact. So again, thank you for working with Jim Browning, who just got his 4 million. Did you see his post on Twitter that he got this huge plaque? I mean, it's awesome. Yep. So again, kudos to Jim Browning, to his team, and to everybody. And good evening, Nigella. Thank you for coming. And so again, Miss Wonder Woman, who is a wonderful asset to our community. And thank you so much for joining us. What are some of the questions that you might have for us this evening?
Okay. First off, I keep forgetting to ask this question, and I'm glad I'm finally having a mind today to ask it. There's something called like privacy protection or privacy guard that people who want to put up websites are able to sign up for, which puts their actual real contact information behind a security wall. And, it becomes a generic information that you get on Whois. What I'd like to know, is there any way to breach that veil?
Yeah, there is. Those first links that was posted will at least tell you who the provider is. Because a lot of times that's covered up too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, say Joe Schmo goes to GoDaddy and says, I want to put up Joe Schmo website. And he hires to register the domain, get a hosting company, whole 9 yards. But along the lines, he says, yeah, I want your privacy guard so that they don't see that my name is actually Paul Smith. And they don't see that I'm actually living at 1313 Mockingbird Lane. They get a generic, for tech support or for abuse, it's abuse at, and then a generic, cover up thing. And you don't see the actual real that this website is owned by and operated by, say, Paul Smith.
Personal information, it doesn't go that deep. I'm sure the providers have that information. If you needed it, like for law enforcement or something, I'm sure they could get it. But as far as if you're talking about reporting them, those 2 links that we posted earlier will get you close enough to get to their provider to report them.
Right, because I'm not exactly talking about reporting them. I'm talking about just finding out that information behind all of those privacy guard services that are offered when you first sign up to start building your website.
There probably is, but I'm not good enough to do it.
In terms of like my website, I have my own website. It's all in my own name. And you said GoDaddy. I'm actually registered with GoDaddy, so I can kind of talk to how they do it. You can, when you start a website, you sign up with your name, but then you also provide what you want to show as the owner of the website, if that makes sense. Like if you went and did a who is on mine, it would probably come up HTH, not my name. Because with GoDaddy, that's what I've gone into the settings and set. So, and I did that very deliberately because I didn't want any of these scammers to come try to find me. So I've covered up a lot of that information, knowing that those tracks do exist.
You're probably not getting that information from the provider unless you're law enforcement with a search warrant, or you're doing some black hat stuff.
Right, because I was curious to see if there was even black hat methods available, or is that so unbelievably beyond even Pentagon level stuff?
Wish I could speak to it, but that's way outside of my area of expertise.
Oh, I thought you were going to say if you told me, you'd have to kill me after.
That would have been a lot more interesting of an answer.
Yeah, that's your
that one in mind.
Yeah, that's your James Bond answer for next time.
Okay.
But and again, that's where I'm not techie. I am a dialer, I'm a talker, those kind of things. And now I want to become a little bit of a Twitter, and then I'm working on the victim advocacy side with KDA. And again, it's just like with the delete the files and those kind of things, I wouldn't know how to do it. So, and I'm still actually learning how to
do that. Because I would just go for the straight delete plus a virus on their servers to take it all out. So they have to either go buy new equipment or spend a year rebuilding everything.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
you
what I
didn't
think.
Ask me if I'd brick their machine if I could. Absolutely, I'd brick their machine.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think we all would if we could. But here's I've just got a VM myself, and I've let some people in it already. I've got a VPN, but it's still new, and so I'm not to that level yet. But eventually, if I could, who knows what I would do? I can't answer for today, but at least the more I know, the better I'm going to become.
Yeah, because I would even be in favor of seeing if there's a way to track backward the dollars and cents and start knocking out the guys that take the big lion's share of all the money from the guys that sit for 13 hours, with maybe 2 smoke breaks.
Yeah, and that's where I think the folks like Browning, Pierogi, I think Trilogy is doing a lot of a lot of great baiters that are doing a lot of larger investigations. Yes, they're streaming, but they're also working day and night, collecting evidence, finding more information to turn over the authorities.
Go after the big guy's money.
Yes. Yeah. And I like it because they are working with teams. So again, they have to have the people who have the know-how to work with them. Because I think it's which VM? Dan, I just got the one that what is it called? It's VMware.
VirtualBox?
It's VMware, but it's also the one that Neat put together.
I kind of jumped back in late, but I'll throw a little curveball into that story, or that idea. Tracing the money and such. In my situation, I find a lot of victims who end up being unwilling mules. They will give money to the scammer, and the scammer says, "Okay, you're now on my payroll, and I need you to accept money from other victims and send it back to me in Bitcoin." So if you're finding someone using Bitcoin, they're making it's really hard to trace that.
Yeah, Bitcoin has not fully been cracked just yet. It will be. It's inevitable.
It's inevitable, but it will be. And other cryptos are kind of finding other ways to use the blockchain to increase security. So there are ways you could kind of trace the money. Some of it you could probably check it, moving from victim to victim to victim to victim. Once it starts going over the pond, overseas, then it gets a lot harder to trace.
Yeah, I think CAC would probably
just the big guys in like India and make them go broke.
Yeah, I think CAC would maybe beg to differ. I think she's got about 300 people on her Discord server that all could say they could trace the Bitcoin and get it back for anybody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that would be great.
All of them claim to be able to. They should be working for the Pentagon if they've got those kind of skills.
Right.
See, I say kudos to the guys that are able to identify a live call in progress and be able to interrupt the flow and stop it before anything can be lost. I say bravo to those people, and I say thank you.
That goes back to, you never know how valuable the information you've got in your hands may be.
Oh, yeah.
There is a website called the Jamaican Observer. PCH scammers, I check it a couple times a month. They do articles on scams down there, and lottery scams is their scam. That's their thing. One guy just got extradited to the U.S., and he's going to be serving some time because he's already been convicted. And the way they got him was through his mule. If you get the mules, they'll flip, and you get the next one in the chain. And in his case, I think it was probably a family member or somebody he knew really well, because he was sending it straight to him. So there was only one step.
Yeah, speaking of family member, did you guys see the video that Jim Browning put up? I just caught it like today or last night, and it was about how he encountered a scammer named Adit, and he even tried going through his parents to get the parents to get into the know about what their son was doing, because the parents were not aware at all. And the parents tried to get him to stop, and they couldn't. And so he went after Adit himself, tried to get him to stop directly. Nope.
Yeah, he's too far gone. If your parents can't get you to stop, you're too far gone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The police.
That leads me to an interesting question. I know on the Sunday stream it was touched on a little bit, but Hatch and CAC, what do you guys find culturally with where your scammers are coming from? Is scamming accepted? Is it really shameful like it is in India? What's your experience with that?
No, it's not. It's everybody does it. They hold them up like rock stars because they put out Instagrams of all their money and their cars, and the ones that really make it big. The African ones, they glorify them literally, and they tend to do that in Jamaica too.
I've found that it's generally accepted. The gentleman I spoke with estimated that there are 5,000 to 7,000 people doing it in Nigeria right now. And it's accepted because the poverty is so bad there that any money that anybody can bring in is such a huge impact. So they don't, if a friend finds out their other friend is doing it, chances are they're going to try it, because they'll try anything to make some money. And that's not trying to make some money to go out and buy jewelry. That's trying to make some money to go out and buy rice,
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I watched something from Canada, and they do like investigations on scams of different types. Some are just local scams, like oh, I'll inspect your furnace for you and I'll clean it. And others, they go so far as to investigate and follow the chain of stolen cars. And they've been finding a lot of stolen cars get stolen, and they don't get parted out in the country. They get put on cargo ships and sent off to like the Congo. They've tracked the VIN numbers of stolen cars literally on the road being driven in the Congo. Wow.
Wow.
Now, Indian scammers, most of them, if they're not too far gone, they would much rather take a beating by the police than have their parents find out what they're doing. Because
that's
it's
the
a
one.
shameful
Really?
thing.
Wow.
It's shameful. It's not socially accepted. Now, they do have a type of scam there, the in-person scam. They don't seem to have a problem with that. Kids
What do you
come
mean
up.
by in person? I don't understand. I've never heard that.
Mainly tourists. They'll come up and try to say that they're a guide or something, and
that type of thing.
Yeah, they're scams. They're not who they say they are. But
I have an interesting story. Oh, sorry, cockroaches. I have an interesting story of someone who had contacted me during one of my live streams. They live in Florida, and there is a scam type that I have never even heard of before in my life. They prey on tourists who come and visit these resorts and stuff. What they do is they print up a fake pizza menu with a phone number to call to order and everything, slip it under the hotel doors. People call to order pizza, give them their credit card number. There it is.
Wow.
I thought that was fascinating. This is happening. I know if he said it's in Orlando right now.
Whoa.
So yeah, the scammers are getting incredibly clever.
Yes,
there was
they
somebody
are.
on a Discord server that I read their story. They are on disability, and they only shop with their card at two stores. One is a liquor store, and one is some other type of food store. And they went to one of the two stores, and then like the same day or the next day, there was a $396 order for Benihana.
Whoa.
That's either a card skimmer or an employee.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Carl Rock has done quite a few videos on scams
incredible.
in India.
Mm-hmm.
In-person type scams. You'll go to a temple, and people will come up to you and pretend they're priests and ask for donations.
Oh, of
They're not
course.
priests. They're not tour guides. He had one. It's the funniest one. One guy. This is a two-man operation. One guy comes around and dumps dog shit on your shoes, and then his buddy is right around the corner to clean it for you for a fee. Yeah, literal dog shit on your shoes. It happened to him. But the types of scams we encounter, is not accepted. That type of stuff is, I'm not sure if it's accepted, but it's not the same. It's not considered the same thing.
Yeah, no.
That's true.
Those are just really disgusting.
That is true. And also, everyone, I am going to post again Discord links. So y'all are welcome to still chit chat while I'm doing that real quick. Because I can't talk and type at the same time. So forgive me.
No, go for it. So this is interesting. Man, I dropped in the Discord if you want to share it, but I literally saw a brand new scam for my guy, Whiskey Scambaiter. We had a whiskey scammer that has given up whiskey drinks and is now going after the hunting community by selling Garmin dog devices. So those collars that go around the hunting dogs that you track them.
Yes,
so
it's this.
Just when you think you've seen it all.
You haven't. I mean, look at this. Wow.
They don't care what they sell as long as they think somebody's going to buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
I know
Yeah.
that's crazy. So for all my hunting friends, we have a Garmin dog devices for sale. We have in stock new and used Garmin devices. I think we're gonna have to contact them.
Yeah, so that's one of the interesting things with I had a scammer that was trying to get me to be a mule. Did not know I was a scam baiter. But one of the things he was very adamant about understanding was what's the cool thing Americans are after? What are they looking for? Because then they were going to start posting it. I was thinking about telling him Beanie Babies or VCR, VHS tapes to throw them for a loop a little bit, but they're very keen on,
VCR
okay,
tapes. Oh
let's
my
keep
God, that's
evolving
funny.
and finding out what that trend is in the US so they can start scamming it.
I think an interesting thing to note, and this is what my Nigerian gentleman had shared with me, and I'm sure probably some of this even rings true with the Indian scammers, is they all see America as paradise. They think we can just pull cash out of the air. And so when I was telling him, like, no, we have poverty too. My oldest brother was homeless for 10 years, and they're just absolutely astounded.
Oh my
They just think
God.
everything here is just made of gold, and we print money at home. It's crazy.
Well, it was even the same way back in the non-technological day of my grandparents. The whole idea of becoming an immigrant to the United States the expression was, the streets are paved in gold. And they kind of still believe that to this day.
And what they see is they see a lot of Hollywood. They see the movies and everything, and that kind of gives them some impression of what America's like, and that's the movies. That's all fake. So I know in Nigeria, American movies are big, very big over there. So they're seeing, all these rich and famous, and everybody's an actor and an actress, and we're just all, when we walk, we leave a trail of money. That's what they kind of think.
Well, we need to start giving them the phone numbers for the switchboard at, say, Universal, MGM, Warner Brothers, send them in that direction.
Yeah, they can call and ask those guys questions. Dan's. I don't know if Dan's going to join us.
I hope so. I don't know if he
too.
does. I hope, but just as I said, he's certainly welcome to join the panel if he wants. If not, I sent my Discord link, which is the Speed Dreamin' 5129. Isn't that what it is? Yeah, 5129. And Dan, if you don't feel like joining us in the panel tonight, you're more than welcome to just DM me that information, and I can share it if you'd like.
That's a big Facebook one with a pet one. So, you put you lost a dog, or a cat up there, and then, you'll have scammers going in saying either we can find your dog, we have a team, we'll show up to your city. We're already in your city because we have people everywhere, and then they'll claim to actually have the dog and try to get money for it. I've seen that quite a bit on Facebook.
I had something that came up. There's an app that I use infrequently. It's called Nextdoor, and it's based on, it's a social media app, but it kind of drills down to the smaller communities. And somebody posted on there that they were hungry, they had no money, and could somebody hit up their Cash App? And the picture they used was this really pathetic, and I really mean pathetic, picture of a person that was blurry, and they had 3 $1 bills covering their face like this. And people were, answering, helpful things like, well, why don't you go get a job, or go down to the local gas station, or here's a food pantry, blah, blah, blah. But, after you take a look and you see those $3 plastered over their face, you realize this is a person that's just a scammer, that's a wannabe, never will be rapper. Because they're like, hit them a Cash App, cash me outside. They finally did get the person knocked off the platform. But it was just unbelievable. There were people actually believing the person and making suggestions to them, giving them sympathy. And I would write back to them. I go, how gullible are you? Look at their picture. And they're talking about having wanted to sell their Chromebook, and I go, first off, Chromebook, they're worth $1.98 brand new. They're worth -$10 used. Second off, look at the picture. I have swampland in Arizona to sell you.
CAC and Hatch, I think that's people using Nextdoor for pretty basic scams. What do you guys see? What does a scammer really need to create a website, to create a pet scam website, or what does a scammer really need to do the philanthropy scam? Do they need a lot of technology?
Not when they steal it.
Oh, good point.
And most of the things that I see on the recovery scams are often stolen accounts, especially the older ones. And Hatch probably sees the same thing on the older ones. They just steal it. I mean, you're literally stealing from your own quote unquote customers. Somebody comes to you and says, "I've been hacked." You get all their information, and then you go steal their accounts, and then you flip them and start using them. That's why there's so many of them.
Yeah, that's 100% right. I see this a lot. You'll see a profile of a scammer, and it says it was started in 2010 or something, and right away that was a stolen account. There's no way they've been using it that long. We don't know how long, but what it does is then when they're trying to scam somebody out of money, this person goes and looks at their profile and they say, "Oh, they've been here for 10, 11 years. Okay, they must be legitimate. I'll send them $25. So, and in terms of what I see a lot, mostly what I see are really new profiles. Whiskey's question was, what does it take to get involved in scamming? In Twitter scamming, you need the app and a phone. That's it. You just go create a fake profile. You can go Google Sam, Joe, Bob, and download pictures from the internet of people. And there you go. You have a profile, and you can start scamming people from it. Then you kind of get into the back end. Now they need a way to actually receive the money, which that's kind of a whole nother step in itself. But just getting started is just that easy.
Right. So and you can even go to fake name generator too, to help you with getting names and where you were. So sorry, Whiskey, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, it was fine. One little follow up on that, because I'm so curious on how they do this. What about all the testimonials they post? Here's videos of somebody saying, "This is how much I got." I've seen a couple of videos of the recovery stuff and posts of going, "This person helped me." How are they getting this?
I've dubbed that affirmation media. It is just another step in a scam. So they have somebody on the hook. They've sent them money, so they're financially invested in this scam now. And the scammer says, "Okay, now for me to release your payment, I need you to write on the napkin, scammer name just sent me $1,000. Thank you so much for your help." Or record a little video saying, "Hey, I was broke and you sent me all this money." They direct them specifically what not to say. They say, "Don't say I told you to say asking for any money or anything like that." And then what they'll do is they'll take the affirmation media and feed it to other victims to try to look more legitimate. It's just a big loop of using victims' information over and over against other victims.
Right.
Interesting.
Amanda, I'm sure they have a database somewhere where they can just share these affirmation videos with other scammers and have them repost those as though they're, to their website or they're to somebody else's website and so on.
And
right. And
my experience, in my experience, they do. Like in my case, in the Nigerians, it's somebody who got you into it, so it's a friend of yours or maybe a family member or something, and then they'll get someone to send them something, and they'll send it to everybody they know who's running the scam, so now they can use it. So yeah, that's exactly how it works. Yeah.
Amanda, I was going to ask you a question because you've been doing this much longer than I have. I'm sure you're familiar with, was it 419 Eater?
Yes.
I had seen on there and actually listened to a podcast where they were talking about that, to where some of the games that they played was actually getting scammers to take pictures of themselves holding, a sign that said something silly. And I think back in the day you would actually get like points for it. I think
Mhm.
they've gotten away from that. But do you think maybe that's something they learned
Yes, because
by
they're
scam baiters doing that to the scammers, to where they go, okay, maybe we
Mhm.
can get people to help themselves look more legitimate.
I agree. I think in a way we have taught them some things as well. So it's not to say that we all have. I think there have been some scam baiters, even in some of the calls that I've listened on. They shared some tools, and after that call, I was thinking, it was great, but you just taught them something. They're going to take that and run with it, and they're going to share it with everybody else. So
Oh
you're
yeah, of
right.
course.
I mean, I think there have been times that sometimes we have leaked, and I don't think is intent or ill will or anything like that. But I think they, not to say all of them probably do, but they got their bosses that are probably doing the watching, and then they're going to announce it, and then that's why when they listen to the calls,
Yeah,
they
they're
hang up.
adaptive.
Yes, they're very adaptive. So again, it's just like what we're doing. We're teamed up. So are they, is how I
What's
feel.
what's the turnover rate, do you think, on any scam, whether it's a tech support scam, whether it's the scammers down delivery folks? What do you guys think like a turnover rate is? Because I think that's one of the advantages, at least from what I'm hearing from the tech support, is the openers are very new. They're not making a lot of
Mhm.
money. They don't
Right.
really last long, or they move up. So they make mistakes. They click accept on that reverse access. You know, it, you know, as much as I think they can adapt, I also think turnover is to our advantage, because the higher ups are going to have to constantly be teaching the same tools that we're using to these
Mhm.
guys over and over again, and it gets tiring. It's like hiring when you have a lot of turnover at work, and you're training
Yes.
people. It's exhausting when you have to keep going over it and going over it, and that's why companies invest so much in human capital and keeping people around, is because it's expensive and it's a lot of
It
time.
is. It is a lot of time. But again, like you said, they have all different the openers who definitely listen, and then the managers or their bosses are listening, and then they'll either hang up or just keep going with it. It just kind of depends on how what's working and what's not working. But the main thing is I know we're all still trying to find the tricks that are not giving the other people advantage, because me personally, I think of this like a chess game. And I wish we could be 10 steps ahead. But as our friend told us earlier, we're not. We're not there yet.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think we're getting there. I mean, I think eventually it's just I think with all of us teaming up together and figuring out what our skills and strengths are, and figuring out what works best, and like Hatch has figured out his niche.
I have a good question for you
Mhm.
guys. Now,
But that's a great question, Whiskey.
the other day you talked about that, or I don't even know if maybe it was just on Discord or something, but there was a conversation where you mentioned that the scam baiting community is very large. Are
Mhm.
there any like uh, uh, conventions or conferences that where we all come together and talk and share and try to get some more cohesiveness?
Actually, there was just a convention not too long ago. It was online.
Yeah, the
And
Global Scam Summit.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, Whiskey, do you want to kind of, or anyone can kind of interject there? Because there was Jim Browning that was there. There was also
Wow.
a young gentleman who was, his background is in criminology. And was he the one that was talking, Whiskey, when they got hacked?
Yeah, so it was a
Yes.
Zoom call. I actually
Yes.
listened to quite a bit of it. I think it was in the Netherlands. But yeah, this
Yes.
this person was presenting and somebody Zoom bombed him, and basically took
Yes.
control and
Yes.
was
Oh
writing a
my
bunch of
Yes.
God,
stuff
that's
up on
that
the
is
And
screen.
they had an awful picture,
Yeah.
adult writing picture, and had a few. It was an
Russia stuff.
Russia, yes,
Yeah.
yes, and also
oh
like
my
Germany, yeah.
God.
But
And
the
So
irony,
yes,
oh my goodness.
I know. Thinking so again, it happened, but yes, they do have that. They also Pierogi has the call center, and they get together once a year, But also some of us baiters have talked about getting in a centralized area to actually get together, which would be kind of fun, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, because I know that I like, you know, as you can see, all the Wonder Woman stuff back here.
Yes.
I love the New York Comic Con. I
Mm.
would love one day to be able to have the money to go to the San Diego Comic Con, which is better.
Yes.
But I was wondering if that brought to mind, you know, are there any for, you know, scam baiting?
Yeah, I mean, the
Mhm.
Global Scam Summit was much more professionals that were doing this, cybersecurity folks, a
Mhm.
lot of government officials as well, talking about how their countries are fighting scams and the different scams that they're seeing. It was very high level, very interesting, fascinating. But yeah, I agree. I think a con would be absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the things a lot of us in the community have been talking about is, you know, how do we take scam baiting for those that, you know, are serious about it? But let's face it, most of us are volunteers and a lot of us have full-time jobs as well. But
Yes.
how do we kind of take it to the next level
I
and
have a suggestion.
centralize it a little bit
Cockroach
more?
might actually find this interesting. There are definitely gaming conventions.
Mhm.
Now, what if we could integrate the scam baiting into the gaming conventions? Because I think that something like that would be a wonderful segue into each other to be able to explore the talents that exist on both sides of the fence.
Right. Because you got,
Um,
yeah, I think you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, good luck pitching
Yes.
that to any game company.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not saying
Now-
game companies. I'm saying, you know, like a New York Comic Con is for the fans.
I know, but
KDA, you're right, though.
most gaming conventions are put on by the companies.
They may put them on, but you know what? Once, you know, that's organized, then who's not to say that the scam baiting community could, you know, not come in and say, okay, we'd like to set up a booth, we'd like to set up some classrooms, and any people that are attending the gaming convention, if they're curious, they could wander over and experience something.
I think
I-
if there was a way you could show them dollar signs that, hey, this is going to bring you in some money, I think they'd let it happen.
Mhm.
But this again, their businesses, their bottom line is the dollar. Were they going
Yeah,
to make money off this?
I agree, and I think maybe an area would be that education aspect of it, to where you do have a gaming company that says, you know what, we got to start educating our folks,
Mhm.
you know, how not to get scammed if they are seeing a financial risk to their players being scammed.
Why couldn't they build their
CAC, I
own
don't know if you're
schools
seeing
to
that.
teach scam baiting, to not get screwed, to not get their own platforms exploited or invaded by scammers? And
Yeah, I
then
agree.
people could pay to go to
Mhm.
school to learn these kind of neat tricks and put it to work, you know, maybe as a side gig.
Yeah. And Nicholas, that's a good idea. You know, definitely never hurts to have a PR because, you know, like with us, you know, scam baiting is not cheap.
It's not.
I mean,
If you included the gaming community into scam baiting community, or integrated, I should say,
mhm.
could you imagine how much more work we could get done?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Cockroaches. What do you think? You think a big gaming company would be down?
Mine wouldn't. I don't think. They're so focused on their game
Mhm.
and trying to. I mean, they fight them, but they want it to be an invisible fight. They don't want it to interrupt.
Why couldn't they make a game that's, you know, based on, you know, whack a scammer?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I just
I
honestly.
mean, you got whack a mole.
Somebody like Jim Browning or Pierogi could probably approach a large gaming company and
Mhm.
pitch that.
Well, if anybody has any reach to them, maybe suggest that.
But
They're both going to
Mhm.
watch this tomorrow. I guarantee
But-
it. So.
I guarantee you nobody
and
with
that would be
any
great.
less clout than them would make any headway.
Yeah, I think another
Yeah.
avenue might be at Black Hat in Vegas. You know,
That too.
That would be
Mhm.
far
Mhm.
more
That too.
likely.
Yeah, especially because
I
I know
think-
we have a lot of folks that are doing white hack stuff, you know, pretty heavy on the tech side. And I think that would be interesting. I don't know if they've ever done it or not, but I think that would be interesting. You know, start off small, obviously, with maybe there's a seminar.
Right, because
I think
sometimes
you'd
even just
find-
dropping one idea can make somebody springboard another idea off of it. So
Yeah, and most of those
I
guys are
think-
already doing that
And
type
then
of
Hatch,
stuff.
yeah, and
anyways.
Hatch, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I think you'd find more acceptance if instead of focusing on like the gaming communities, just go to a broader scope, go to the tech and computer communities. They might be a little more interested in hearing someone wants to set up a booth about scam baiting on their platform or whatever. So that I think gaming is a very lucrative but niche market. I see exactly what Cockroaches is saying. They're not going to want to really have anything to do with it. They focus on their game and making money off their game. All this other stuff means nothing to them.
Right, but
see,
I
what you
do
just
like the
said
suggestion.
is a
though.
good idea, which brings to mind another thought in the same vein. You know, once you infiltrate or segue into another community, then you can segue into others and others and others, because everybody goes on each individual platform to try to find a way to infiltrate, to be able to find a way to make money in that platform.
Yeah, and let's face it, hackers are in our same ecosystem. We're in essentially in the same game, playing different sports, you know, or playing on different teams. But it's you know, generally we've all got
kind of like the
same mission.
Olympics, and then you have all the different sports beneath it.
Yep.
Right. But again, it never hurts to brainstorm. It never hurts. And
No, it doesn't.
And plus,
Because
with
15
our
failures, all it has to do is you have to have that 16th idea
Yeah.
that becomes a
So true.
success.
So true.
I had the idea of doing an annual award show, call them the Scammies, and you got your best new Scambaiter and Scambaiter of the year, and
I love that.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, because I showed him the Grifties, which is, you know, vote for your favorite scammer scumbag. But his idea of the best, you know, Scambaiter would be perfect.
You know, this
you could call them the Baiter Awards.
This fascinates us, and it fascinates a lot of people as viewers. I don't think there's nearly as big a subsection actually interested in doing the work. There's some people that want to do it because it's content, and that's fine. But there's a whole lot of people that don't stream. I don't stream. They just do it, do whatever they can, and those folks aren't really getting anything out of it other than the satisfaction of doing it. And the subsection of people that find this fascinating, as fascinating as I do to do it, is smaller.
Yes.
It just is.
Great point.
Yeah, I agree, because a lot of stuff like this could become too easily ego-driven. Like, look at what I did. That's a very easy hole to fall into.
Well, let me tell you about a volunteer program I was in way back 30 years ago. Another MMO. I was a volunteer in it. And everybody wanted to be a volunteer. They thought it was glamorous. They thought it was cool to have all these neat abilities and these robes. And yeah, those people didn't get in. They wanted in for the wrong reasons. So we had to vet our volunteers very, very carefully, because it's really easy to abuse.
Yeah, I think
knowledge and tools.
It really is.
Oh yeah, it would be very easy for somebody who learns the tools of how to go after the scammers' money and take it for themselves. That makes us no better than the original scammer themselves.
Right.
Yeah, I think, you know, in terms of content creation, I think there's, yes, you've got some amazing content creators. You know, we have to live and breathe with both of them. They are bringing viewers. They are raising awareness to it. You know, I know some folks are like, oh, I'll never stream. That's not why I'm in it for it, which I think is great. I agree with Cockroaches. Like, that's not why I'm doing it.
Right.
You know, but the good content is what gets the average consumer to say, you know what, this is actually kind of fun. I am now more aware of how these scams work because this
Yes.
video was really, really funny.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's cool because there's space for a lot of us, which I think in generally of what I've learned, is there's a space for everyone. If you
Yes.
want to contribute, if you just want to watch, sharing is huge. I know
Yes.
there was a phrase going on around, we're all scambaiters. If you're watching and sharing, you're a scambaiter.
Yeah, if
I
I
agree.
can find the
I
original
agree.
videos about the window smashing for the scumbag sobtards and the moronish morons, I would never have known about them in the first place.
Right, because if no one talks about it, they're not going to be exposed.
Yes.
And that's the thing too. It's kind of like with scam baiting. We are educating others, so that's why it's important to educate, prevent, promote. That way we can say, okay, we've dealt with a family member who we just found out that just got scammed, and what are we going to do about it? So someone might say, you know what, I just watched an episode of Hatch and they did the same exact thing on Twitter. Let's go watch him. Or let's look at Deo. Let's look at they're going to find something. Or now with Hatch's website, that is a great tool. So again, it's important to be able to talk word of mouth, because we know that even though it's not as fast as social media, but it's still just as important.
You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see us wind up in the community on TV more often. There's not enough TV shows that cover this at all.
There has been a documentary that a gentleman that we just talked to earlier that Whiskey got me contacted with. But you're right. I mean, there's other resources that we can use. I mean, I think, but go ahead.
There's
Hatch,
not enough publicity, in short.
No, but Hatch, I think you've got a good idea. I think you got it.
If you remember Chris Hansen, who did he got famous for the To
That's
Catch
what
a
we
Predator
talked about
series
the other night.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he did a SCAMBAIT type TV show. But you're right. I think getting this out on TV where it really gets out to the masses would be amazing.
Right, because I followed the one where he called it to catch an online scammer. And he literally, at the time, the way it was being done was, I'll get product shipped to you. And what you don't realize is it's product that was purchased with stolen information. And the person would wind up getting the product shipped to them, and then they'd ship it out of the country to the scammer. And so what would also happen is it would be these, romance scams or whatever. And he would follow it from point A to B to C to D, and then out of the country to that next country. He even got a fake barrister from, it was either the Netherlands or one of those countries like that, Denmark, something like that, where he got this fake barrister on camera. And the barrister, when he realized the jig was up, he took off into the street.
One of the things that I think as SCAMBAITing becomes more mainstream, which I believe it is, I think more people are becoming aware of it. One, SCAMBAITing does not have a great connotation to it. It is considered vigilantism to a point. So in terms of mainstream media, I think news reports are great. Because
you
they
say
can
that like it's a bad thing.
No, I certainly don't think it is. I'm talking from big companies that have a lot at risk. I.e., big media. So channels like YouTube and Twitch are great because it's everyone's creating their own content. But as it becomes more mainstream, here's a question. I would not be surprised if down the road you've got somebody that has millions and millions of followers on YouTube and they're making a lot of money on YouTube, that a media company says, hey, can you do what you do, however many episodes, 30 minutes, an hour, and put you on mainstream media. But
they tried doing that for their you remember years ago, and they're bringing it back now, the CSI brand that was out there. It was like CSI Las Vegas started it all.
Yes.
Well, they tried to do a CSI Cyber, and it was really good, but it
Never
didn't
watched
last that long.
I
Yeah,
never
probably
watched
didn't speak to most consumers, but it will, because
Mhm.
you look at all the younger generation, the millennials, they know cyber in and out. They get taught,
Oh my
online
gosh.
safety in school, and and I think that's from a recruiting standpoint too. You hear, that's one of the largest growing sectors that does not have enough employees, because they don't have enough
Yes,
people that know it.
cybersecurity,
Is
very
That's the way to
underemployed.
do it, and that's the way you recruit, is by investing in media, TV shows, whether it's
Mhm.
games. So you get these kids
You have to make it
into it, and then
attractive.
they say, I want to make a
Right.
career out of it.
And
Well,
you
and
can't
I
make something attractive if you don't publicize it.
well,
we,
and go ahead. I was
we
going to have a
keep suck,
comment.
we keep sucking all the cyber security specialists into our
Into gaming.
Yeah.
well, no, into our little neck of the woods. I know P was, Ray is, of course Jim is.
Mhm.
Most I'm not sure about Kit, but I think he was. Um, yeah, they get the thing about this is you get to the point where you're fed up. You're fed up with your phone ringing. You're fed up hearing
Mhm.
stories about old people getting their life savings taken, and it's just you get fed up and you decide, I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to do something.
Yeah, you get fed up because at the end of the day, you don't get enough of a punchline, if you would. You don't get enough in the way of a feel good at the end of the day. There's not enough of that.
Amanda, what
Uh,
were you going to say? I want to hear your
I was,
comment.
well, here's kind of a comment that I think that a lot of people have turned to is TLC. They get tons of they get tons of watchers, or
TLC,
yeah,
Time
you know
Life
that.
Channel, or something
Yeah,
like. What is that?
it's the
The
Learning
Learning
Channel.
Channel.
Oh, the Learning
And
Channel.
I
Okay.
mean, they have tons of stuff. Or if we can even get on like Amazon Prime or something like that, I think it'd be great. I think it would be great. It's just we got to get that attention from the media. So how are we going to do it? I mean, we really have to promote ourselves, and
Oh,
so
absolutely. I would love to see, uh, one thing I've been noodling around in a big way is I've seen and a lot of people have their love, their hate of Dr. Phil, but I'm pulling him up as an example. Um, the, uh, I've seen Dr. Phil bring people on his show to show them off as idiots because they're being victimized by these romance scams, because they're the older people, they're lonely, their spouse, they're either divorced and they have nobody, or their spouse has passed away and they have nobody and they're lonely. So they believe in these things like they're the winning $1 billion lottery ticket.
mhm.
Now, he doesn't do enough of that, number one. And number two, I would love to see him do a clinical dive into somebody like a Devin Rayford, or a Taj Tariq, who is David Sinclair and runs pretty much, he's like the head god at all of these moronish morons pretending to run a country. I would love to see him look at those videos and be able to do an analytical, these people are scumbag, and humiliate them like crazy, and point them out for delusional. I would love to see that happen.
And it might be.
So I've toyed with approaching, going within the side community, because my other side, as we know, is the sobtards and the moronish morons. I've toyed with opening this up as my channels get better, with saying, why can't we put some information together and submit it to Dr. Phil? Because I'm sure when Dr. Phil sees Devin or Pauline, who's light Tahiri Bay, do their scum stuff, along with this woman that lost custody of her child,
Mhm. Yeah.
and Sharon Tracy Gale, who connected car batteries and propane tanks and nearly blew up a block with her kids in the house. I think if he saw those, he'd be like, hell yeah, there's a good story there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But we've kind of reached a little over 2 hour mark, and not to say that this hasn't been amazing, and I love that you guys have been on. But my co-host Whiskey is going to have to depart here soon, and again, I'm so thankful that he was on because he asked a lot of great questions. He even digged into me earlier before, and I was like, "You need to be on." So again,
Wait, was that bad?
no, it was great.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it was great. That's why I was like, okay. That's why I said you got a co-host. So again, it's probably just time to wrap this up. But Whiskey, thank you so much for being here. And Hatch, thank you so much for coming back, sharing your stories. And then again, we've got some amazing more content to watch. And then we've got the upcoming event on Saturday with Cash. And then you said December 11th? Is that the day? 10th. I'm sorry. 10th. So again, do you want to kind of, let's do some final words and then we'll end it. And then if anyone wants to join Discord, we'll go from there.
Yeah, I just encourage everybody. Links will be in the description for everybody for our guests. Please give them a follow, give them a like, do the YouTubey things. Go on Twitter, join some Discords, support one another. And Amanda, really appreciate. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, anytime. I mean, I would love to have you on. So you're more than welcome. Just all you gotta do is to say I'm coming and I'm gonna co-host. and Hatch, you're always welcome to come back. I love you to death. And I think what you do is incredible. And we need to get more people on Twitter. So everyone who has a phone and is maybe the age 22, 18 may be a little too young, but again, it never hurts to start. And
your name HTHTV, does it stand for Hack the Hacker TV?
Nope. It's just some a mash of letters from my last name.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think it's a great name. But again, Hatch, do you want to kind of promote your channel and?
Yeah, I do most of my live content creation is over on Twitch, twitch.tv/HTHTV. We are now streaming live on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
Go to my website and there's links to absolutely everything there. Drop me a follow. I would absolutely appreciate it. Go Twitter, drop a follow. And, if you see a tweet or something, retweet it. Exposure is the best tool for awareness.
Okay.
And I'm going to put that on the link. I'm going to add it into the description here. And so don't hesitate. And then also we'll put it in Discord. So definitely don't hesitate to join in Hatch's Discord. And then Cockroaches. Also KDA put hers in there. So definitely don't hesitate to join hers. I also put in SCAMBAIT Beyond the Discord. And, let's just keep continuing to educate and prevent and promote. And like Hatch, you're exactly right. Let's keep retweeting and then make sure that you get in contact. You can whisper him on Twitch. You can also, you have an email too.
Yeah, there's literally a chat. You can chat, a little chat box on my website. I may not see him right away all the time. support@twitterscams.info, or send me a private message on virtually anywhere I'm at. I check everything, so I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, and I'm still small enough where I can still answer a lot of your questions.
If not, you're going to start hiring some people, and I don't mind answering.
Exactly.
So again, thank you again, Hatch. CAC, do you have any final words for this evening?
You just don't like to say cockroaches, do you?
No, I kind of like when Whiskey's like, I'm going to call you CAC, so I'm kind of following it.
I just don't call me late for dinner. I don't care.
That's what Cash says.
I don't have any content. I don't stream. I just like wrecking their toys. I like passing information on that might be more useful to somebody else than it is to me. And anybody can do that. It doesn't take that much time. It doesn't. I mean, if you just have an itch and you think, I got to do something, there's things you can do without investment, without VMs and without dialers and without, all the other stuff you have to do to properly traditionally bait what you'd see people on YouTube or Twitch doing. Anybody could do this. I mean, even if it's just if you answer your phone and it's a scammer, yell at them, ruin their day. My native baiting style, if I don't have a goal in mind, is very much like take. I just yell at them.
Right.
Try to ruin their day and make them feel bad. Even if it just throws them off for the next 1 or 2 calls, I've done my job.
Yes, and you have. And you can also be found on Hatch's stream. So again, people can whisper to you as well. So don't forget. And so again, and also she's on Discord. So again, just thank you both so much.
I infest most streams. I may or may not be talking, but if you're streaming, I'm probably in your audience. And I have been known to watch 6 streams at once.
Yes. And again, I think it's very important. So again, let's, remind to go watch other people, go watch Dan, go watch anybody that you want to support and help. And Wonder Woman, thank you so much for coming on, asking questions. You are incredible and you are a great delight. And we appreciate you now joining the SCAMBAIT community. And of course, on our other community side. And but again, I hope everyone enjoyed, had a great time. Thank you all for being here. And
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And we look forward to the next one, which is this coming Sunday. And we're going to have Tagau. And we're also going to hopefully have Chester Drawers. And the co-host, I'm still hoping, is Takeout. If not, Whiskey, I'm snatching you up. But again,
you're going to have take and take out. Good luck with that one.
I know. Wow. The Take Brothers. Yes, the Take Brothers. But anyway, you guys have a great night. And we just appreciate everyone for staying with us. And we look forward to seeing you on the next time. Stay safe, be healthy, and have fun. Good night. Bye.